Hey, welcome back. Meg here again. This week we're going to talk about why the anxiety management techniques you've been using, you've been taught, don't work. Um, so first of all, let's just do a quick recap. What happened last week, we talked about where anxiety comes from. And anxiety comes from our experiences, real, perceived, emotional, and physical. The amygdala not knowing the difference between that and storing all of those experiences as our own and trying to survive this very moment. So setting off the alarm. It's all it is the amygdala is an alarm system. Go, go, go. It's kind of broken when people have PTSD, anxiety disorders. The amygdala is pretty much just overactive and broken. So now that we are overactive with our anxiety, we have to figure out how to calm that down. What do they tell us to do? They tell us to breathe, right? They tell us to do some grounding techniques. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this. I actually went through and did some grounding techniques with you. But the problem is these techniques, for many people, they say they don't work. The reality of the situation is every single one of these techniques works, and they work well. The problem for most people is our expectations. We want to feel better now. We want the racing thoughts to stop now. We want the heart rate to settle down now. We want the adrenaline, the shakiness that we feel to go away now. We want tunnel vision to go away now. We just want to feel better now. And when we're doing the breathing techniques, we don't feel better now. So the first thing I really want to make sure you understand is expectations. What are you expecting to get out of the anxiety management techniques? If you're expecting to feel better now, if you're expecting the racing thoughts to stop, if you're expecting the adrenaline to settle down, if you're expecting to be okay right now, that may not happen. And if that doesn't happen, then your expectations aren't met. You think that that's not working. It's not a quick fix. The amygdala is set to survival. It's a really important thing in our lives, is surviving. So it takes a lot to overcome the amygdala and make the amygdala understand and believe right here, right now, I'm safe. It's not going to be a very quick fix. Expect it to take time. So if you understand that, you expect it to take time, you're willing to give it the time it takes, here's the deal. If you practice these techniques, the grounding techniques, the breathing techniques, the muscle relaxation, the taste, if you practice these techniques 200 times a day, and yes, I mean 200 times a day, you will feel the results. You will see the difference. But practice, practice, practice. First of all, the amygdala isn't going to just be okay because you say, oh, look, I'm okay right now. The amygdala is not going to just turn off. It's going to take practice for it to go, oh, this is safe. Okay, I am okay right now. The more you practice, the quicker the results are going to show. If you think about it, for example, the example I might have actually used this a couple weeks ago is baseball. I don't know why I go to baseball, but I always do. You practice baseball once a week for an hour. For example, coming into the therapist's office for once a week for 1 hour. And you practice the skills while you're there, you will feel better. But what if you practiced baseball 5 days a week for an hour? You're going to start to see the results much sooner. But what if you practice the baseball 6 hours a day, 7 days a week? Can you imagine how much quicker you're going to get better at baseball? The brain is exactly the same. We need to practice it, practice it, practice it so that the brain recognizes what it feels like and the body recognizes what it feels like to be calm. And then once the amygdala has let the adrenaline into the body, the fight flight is all activated, logic being turned off. As soon as the adrenaline goes through the frontal cortex, shutting it down, give it a few seconds. That's why they say take 5 deep breaths, because just give it a few seconds. Logic is now turned back on. That's when you know I probably shouldn't hit this person, but I still want to. That's when you know logic is actually turned back on. At that point in time, now you can start doing the skills because now your logic is back on and you know what you need to do. But if you don't practice them, you're less likely to be able to pull them up when you need it. So practice, practice, practice. It's very hard to override the amygdala and the survival that the amygdala wants us to keep. All right. So next week we are going to, what am I talking about next week? Oh, that's right. PTSD changes in the brain. How does PTSD affect the brain? What changes actually happen in the brain when you have post-traumatic stress disorder? All right, looking forward to seeing you then.